Hi, welcome to Lodestone. My name is Mark Hooper. I'm an Adobe Certified Instructor here at Lodestone, and in this session, we're going to explore the new content-aware and cropping features of Adobe Photoshop CS6. The topics that we're going to cover in this demo include: we're going to review the existing content-aware feature by filling an area of a photo. Next, we're going to make a selection and then move that selection with the new Content-Aware Move tool. Then we'll explore the new features of the Crop tool and also discover the added Perspective Crop tool. So we have a good bit to do. Let's get started. Alright, so let me bring Photoshop up. I have it running in the background, and I've already loaded in the files that we're going to be working with in this session. The first is a photograph that was taken where we have a piece of equipment that was included in the photo that we want to eliminate, and we also want to recompose this image by moving this model slightly over to the right. So we're going to use two content-aware features. First is the traditional content-aware feature that's been with us since Photoshop CS5. I'm going to select my rectangle marquee tool, and I'm going to make a selection around this area, and I'm going to make it slightly larger than the piece of equipment, including a couple of pixels around the outside. Next, I'll choose Edit Fill, and in the Contents area, I'm going to use Content Aware as opposed to foreground, background, or a pattern, 50% gray, black or white. We're going with Content Aware. And this is like magic. Let me click OK. And Photoshop has analyzed the area and chosen the proper tones, lighting, textures to fill this area to make it look natural. Now I'm ready to release this selection, so I can either go up and choose Select, Deselect, or use my keyboard shortcut on the PC, Control D, or on the Mac, Command D. Alright, now we're ready to shift this model over slightly to the right. I'm going to use the Quick Selection tool here, and I already have the brush sized, but if you need to modify the brush size, remember you can go to your Properties panel here, adjust the size and hardness. I have a size that I think works pretty well here. I'm just going to quickly make a selection around the model. Make sure I include all the areas around where arms, legs, and feet are. Then I'm going to modify this selection and make it a little bit larger, the same way that I did with the selection earlier. I'll select from the menu, Modify, Expand, and I'm going to expand this. I'm going to expand it by 4 pixels and click OK. And now I'm going to go over to my tools, and in the healing area of my tools, I'm going to now see that added to this group is the Content Aware Move tool. With that selected, I'll come back to my model, click and drag, and when I release, it moves the pixels where my model is and then fills that area very, very nice and clean. And my photographer is now able to have this slight modification without having to set up the photo shoot all over again to get this resolved. I'll use my keyboard shortcut to release this selection, Control D. And now we're going to take a look at some of the new crop features in Photoshop. So I select the other file that I have open, and I'm ready to crop this photo. Now I see my traditional crop tool over here in my tools, and as soon as I select it, I'm going to automatically notice that some things have changed. It doesn't require me to make a selection. There's already an area here that is going to be selected as the crop. In the Properties panel, I can choose either unconstrained or original ratio, or choose a preset size. In this case, I'm going to go for 5:7. So I have that selected. In addition to that, we also have new ratios for the rule of thirds here. We have rule of thirds, we have grid, We have diagonal triangle. I like to use the golden ratio. So I can see my grid here for golden ratio. Now as I go and look at this photograph, I can see that before I crop, I really like to straighten this photo out. It's not going to look the way I want it to when I crop by having this model walking at an angle. Previously, I would have to go out of the crop tool, go in and do some free transform or straighten options, but straighten is now part of the crop tool. Here in the properties, I have the option to straighten the photo while I still remain in the crop tool. I'll take this option, select here, and then I'm going to find an area of the photo that's a straight line going horizontally. And I'm just going to click and drag a selection across here. And when I release, you can see that it has rotated my photo, and now this area is nice and straight. So I will continue resizing here at the 5:7 ratio. And notice that I also, instead of moving the crop area, I have the ability to click and select and drag the actual photo behind it. Another feature that I have is whether or not I want to delete the pixels that I have cropped out or save them. By not having this selected, my photo will be saved, and as soon as I commit to this transformation, by either clicking here on the check mark or pressing the enter key on your keyboard, when I release this, I'll go back over to my move tool. If I want to click and drag in my photo, notice that I still have the rest of the image information available if I decide to change my mind and modify this. Okay, lastly, brand new feature of Photoshop CS6. I'm going to switch photos here. And taking a look at this photo, I've got this wall in the background that's been shot at an angle. And maybe I'm working in 3D and I'd like to have this wall as a texture to add to a 3D object. But the problem is it's in a perspective here that's not nice and flat. What we have available in the crop family here, if I click and hold here, there is the perspective crop tool. I'm going to select that, and it's very similar to using vanishing point if you've used vanishing point in Photoshop previously. So we're going to add some anchor points and define a square area. So using this wall in this photo makes it pretty easy because we can see straight lines from the boards here on the wall, as well as the seam here of the wall on the other side. So let me just click to add some anchor points around this area. So I'm defining a square plane here. I can see the grid that's coming as I add the 4 anchor points to define this. Now before I commit, if I need to make any modifications, I could, but I'm pretty happy with this selection that I've made. So I'll either click on the check mark to commit this or press enter on my keyboard. And it has magically gone in, taken that section, and is as if I were standing in front of the wall, taking the photo to get this texture. So to review, we've taken a look at the existing Content Aware feature by filling an area of a photo, and then taking a look at the new member of the Content Aware family, the Content Aware Move tool, and we've moved our model over slightly to the right. We've also taken a look at the new features of the existing crop tool as well as the added perspective crop tool. Thanks so much for being with us for this tutorial, and for more tutorials or for more in-depth training, visit us at lodestone.com.